As a medium, I get involved in teaching people meditation. And within spiritualism, and within most areas, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what we mean by meditation. For example, in spiritualism, we have guided visualizations, which people call meditation. It's not strictly, but I mean, they sit and are guided through a piece. They might have a piece of music playing, and somebody might talk you through a visualization of a beautiful scene. Imagine healing guides coming close, the angels coming close to you, healing energy going out to other people. And this actually kind of works because it helps the person to relax, it helps the person to come in tune with themselves, it helps them to connect with the spirit world a little bit, particularly with healing energies, and so has its benefits and its function, you know, but it's not strictly meditation. I would call that visualization or guided visualization. And a lot of people, when they meditate, you know, when I sit people in circles and so forth, they go off on these huge long fantasies of images and dreamlike states. So it's kind of like a state of almost kind of close to sleep, a kind of a sort of visualization imagery, a little bit like as one drops off to sleep sometimes, one can get to what we call hypnagogic dreaming, where there's sort of like a flow of massive imagery. So this is a state that can be accessed, can be useful. It's not strictly meditation though, okay? Also within mediumistic teachings and in spiritualism, we get a form of tuning into the spirit world. And a lot of people call this meditation as well. But actually it's not strictly meditation as you would understand it from an Eastern point of view, certainly. I call this second stage attunement to spirit, i.e. that you open up your consciousness to the spirit world and allow the spirit people, the spirit guides and so forth to come close to help you enhance your mediumship. Okay. And then there's also what I call meditation itself, which is really inner attunement to the divine. Okay, and this isn't something you do for others, because this is something you do for yourself. Attunement to spirit, one might enter that and then give a message to somebody in the room from the spirit, for example. So you're doing that as a function to help with mediumship. Meditation's just for you, you know. So I do all three and more. And because there's other things as well which are also classed as meditation, which are not strictly meditation in my opinion, and that would be, for example, Kriya Yoga, which I see as a form of inner cleansing, and Kundalini Yoga, again, which is kind of a form of inner cleansing. But it all takes you to the same place ultimately, which is the divine consciousness. Okay, so where does the beginner start with all these loads of ideas that I've thrown at you already? I think the simplest place to begin is really with a very ancient and simple technique, which is really the foundation of all the ones I've just described, and that is to use the breath. Now, the beauty of the breath is we take it with us everywhere. It's always there. So we can use this, we can focus our mind on the breath at any point, any place, anywhere, while we're waiting for the bus even, you know, or we can use it in our meditation room. But once we start to use the breath, we can realize that using the breath, we can use it to return ourselves to our centered state, as it were. Because in the world today, always, in all times really, but more so nowadays, our minds are being pulled away from ourselves. We're no longer internalized. We're pulled out there all the time, you know. And the more it happens, the more unhappy we become. We become more dependent on material things. We seem to think our happiness will only come if we marry someone that we'll be happy with, or we feel we'll only be happy if we've got plenty of money, or got our health and all the rest of it. But actually, the happiest place of all is inside yourself. And that will bring happiness to all the people around you when you can find it too. So how do we get there? How do we stop our minds wandering away all the time? Well, this gift of the breath is the simple way to attune ourselves with ourselves, to stop our attention going outwards and bring our attention back into ourselves, so that we become centered at peace with ourselves. And by doing this, it's a simple technique, but by doing this we also stop ourselves wasting energy, because every time we send a thought out from ourselves, we're throwing energy away. But when it's focused all the time, and we're focused on ourselves and we're comfortable within ourselves, our energy will always be strong and full of power. So this technique is called So Hum. All right. Now, I'm not going to talk you through it. I'm going to explain it to you and then let you go away and do it. There are lots of videos out there you could look up if you want to sit and listen to some voice telling you what to do, but you don't need to do that. It's very, very simple, and this is what the beauty of it is. So you're going to focus your attention on your breath. Okay. Now, so you get yourself comfortable. Now, if you can sit down, I mean, I do yoga all my life, so I can sit in the lotus and sit comfortably on the floor, but you don't have to. Okay, it's no big deal if you have to sit on a seat. All right. But make sure your back's straight, because when you do any form of meditation, it's important to keep your back straight, because the spine itself is a channel for your energy. So the way I get my self comfortable in meditation is it's another little technique, but it's to imagine right in the middle of your head, imagine there's a point right in the middle of the brain, and there's a point at the very base of the spine, and it's like these two are one above each other like this, right? And I can't get my finger straight on the screen because I'm looking at the camera. And you get them so that the 2 points balance, right? A point will come where they feel perfectly in balance. And then once you find that, it's like, bang, the spine is perfectly straight. I'm looking at the camera and my hand goes all over the place. But they call it like a reed. You imagine that there's the point in the middle of the head is at the top of the reed, and the base of the spine is at the bottom of the reed. And then the reed suddenly becomes perfectly straight, and once you find that point of balance, you'll be sat perfect poise in meditation, so you can sit for a long time. Now, don't panic if you get it wrong, don't worry about it if you start to slump and you tell yourself off, but if you can, try to keep yourself balanced like that, because that balancing point, once you find that balancing point, you can sit a lot longer. You won't start getting pains in the back, and you won't start feeling pains in the neck, and you won't find your neck's gone all funny like that, and you won't slept over and fallen asleep. It keeps your there goes the screen. It keeps your attention fixed, as well as the energies of the body. Okay, so you get in that poised, comfortable, seated position. Now, then you close your eyes and turn your attention to the breath. Now, when you first sit down, you might find your breath is all over the place. And it might feel a bit uncomfortable watching the breath at first, but because you'll automatically want to try to start to control it. You'll start slowing it down or speeding it up. So the first step is to just watch it and let it do its own thing. Even if it's going fast, let it go fast. But ultimately, it's because you're just trying to control it. So the less you try to control it, and just let it be, and as you begin to relax, your breath will naturally slow down. As the mind becomes at peace, the breath slows down and becomes at peace. That in itself is a good thing to have done. So start to watch the breath. Just watch it for a while. Watch it draw in, watch it draw out. Isn't it amazing, really, that every breath we have just comes as a gift from God? There it is, just always there. We're not aware of it most of the time. Completely unconscious of the breath. And just let it be for a while. So once you've got your focus on the breath, watching the breath with your eyes closed, and you begin to feel relaxed and comfortable, we then add a mantra onto the breath. Now, it's a very simple mantra. It's called So Hum. Okay, and it's an old yogic mantra that goes back God knows how long, tens of thousands of years, and it means basically I am that. Okay, so means I am, and hum means that. Okay, now I wouldn't worry too much about the philosophy behind this at the moment, but it does kind of point to the idea that we are all one. Basically, it's all one. I am the breath itself. The breath is me. I am everything. I am God. This is the concept behind it. But don't worry too much about that. Just focus on the fact that also So Hum sounds a bit like the breath itself. That sound of so. It's a bit breathy in its sound. It's a word that sounds like the breath itself. So with the inward breath, you place upon it imaginary the word so. You don't say it out loud or anything like that. So you close your eyes, you think, and so, as the breath breathes in. And then let the breath turn of its own accord, and as you breathe out, hum. Okay? And let the breath do its own thing. Because, you know, there's a lot of additional things people do with the breath, such as watching the point it turns, or watching the when does it turn from an in-breath to an out-breath? When does it become an exhale, become an inhale, and so forth? You know, when you pay full attention to the breath, you begin to realise that it's quite a magnificent thing in its own right. But for now, all we need to do is focus on that mantra, that simple mantra. So, as you breathe in, hum as you breathe out. Now, don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be long or short. Just let it come naturally. The whole thing is to be at one with it. You know, I am that. Be at peace with it as it happens. Don't force the breath or change the breath or try to make it do things it doesn't want to do. You're just the observer. And by becoming the observer, this is a whole stepping stone into a massive understanding of what you can do in meditation. But so it's simple at the moment. Keep it simple. And you know, they say that this Soham meditation, you need go no further than this. You can find full enlightenment just through this simple watching the breath. It was not only is it in Hinduism, this is another one that the Buddha was very persistent about. That, you know, just watching the breath is enough. You know, do no more, right? So, and I use this technique, you know, if I go off into other forms of meditation and do other techniques, it's always the thing you come back to. It's the staple. You know, you come back to this. You know, you might have been doing, for example, Kriya Yoga meditation, which is like a complicated breathing techniques where you're using breath and the chakras, and you're moving light up and down the spine with the movement of these things. And then you always come back to a point where you do the Soham breathing for a while, because it's like the pause. And if you do this, in this state, you will find great peace, great energy, and your mind at first might feel like it's going all over the place. You know, these things happen because your mind is naturally very active. But if you've drifted off and you've forgotten about what you're doing and the Soham's miles away now, don't worry, just come back and start again. Let the breath, watch the breath, let the Soham come. Let the Soham come, and your mind will probably wander off again somewhere else, and you might be in a lovely state as well, but always, nonetheless, bring it back to the Soham breath. Soham, Soham. And so it's the inner breath, so, outer breath, hum. Some people reverse it and do it the other way round, but that's usually used for different type of techniques. The inner breath is so, the outer breath is hum. That's it. Easy. Simple. And when you've had enough of it, when you felt comfortable, that you feel that you're relaxed again, end the meditation and just come back out again. Okay, very, very easy. And if you're, you know, if you're in an environment like you're waiting at the dentist, you know, and you feel stressed, just focus on your breath, do the Soham. If you're feeling that your emotions are getting up and you're feeling angry or something, sit down, focus on the Soham breath. It will always bring you back to yourself, so that your mind, the monkey mind's not taking control, you're in control. Because that breath is it's your mantra that's there always. It's always there in the background. And it can be used at all times. Some people keep the focus on the breath 24/7. It's a very simple technique, very easy to learn. So why not just give it a try? Jane and I now do our spiritual work for our foundation. All the profits that come from things like our conferences and theatres and workshops and all those exciting things now go into this foundation, which ultimately has the long-term plan of building centres in the UK and maybe around the world one day. But meanwhile, we've been doing a lot of direct spiritual work with it. We've been going out, feeding people in India, giving to the destitute, giving to beggars. We've helped feed schools, helped orphanages, and we've even given cows to older people that have no other form of income. So mediumship can change your life, but it can also help people directly in the world. So go to the links at the end and find out all about what Jane and I are trying to do. And you can do a lot just by sharing these videos on social media. Help us get the word out. Help us to do something really good in this world. Click on this picture of me to subscribe to our channel and see all of our latest videos as soon as they're published. Or click on this next video for more of our stuff.